So here's a collection of Tudor bases. For those of you who are as old as I am, you'll recognize this. This is what's called a single clip base. I think this is one of the originals. It's got this aqua color. And it's called a single clip base because you see it just slips right on for figures that have the little cutout. So that's the way that worked. And then I believe in the early 70s they came up with this total team control base, which has a dial. It rotates the prongs, so you can make the guy go this way or this way. And instead of a clip, I would have what's called a double clip, so it holds it in the front and the back. And this way you could presumably have your linemen open holes and all that. Over the years, I guess the color change. Here's two of them that are very similar single clip, but different shades. You may also recognize this base is what's called a quarterback base. You have your old school TTQB. It has a little nub here, and push it right in the hole, and that's the way that worked. Over the years, Tudor decided to come up with additional flavors of bases. So for example, these are, even though they're TTC bases, they look very similar. I know some collectors look for different color, different shades, but in the Pro line you'll see here, just to give an example here, the thicker prongs are called strong prongs and the thinner ones are called fast prongs. So this is two different prong types, and you can see the same thing exists for the new school single clip bases, which you can see are a little bit bigger than these. And in fact, if you looked at how this player fit on it, he kind of floats a little bit on it. There's a little bit of extra room. But if you have what's called a big man figure like this, and you can see he's the big man versus a regular man kind of a figure. See how he clips on? He actually fits on this base nicely. If I were to put him on the old school base, it's, you know, the platform's a little bit thicker. He doesn't really slide on that well. Anyway, I was going to get back to these. These two bases look the same, but they're not. And again, even on these bases, you see this one over here has a thicker prongs. It's called the strong base. This one's the thinner prongs. It's a fast base. These are the double clip bases, and again, here's an example of a fast one, and here's a strong one. Different thickness of the prongs. And I'm not sure which is a Super Pro line, which is the Pro line, but anyway, this is what's called a flat front base, and this is a rounded front base. So for example, if you had a defensive lineman, you want him to get through the line, you might want to use this guy. Or a wide receiver, you may want to use the rounded front. But on the offensive line, where you want to hold the guys, the flat front makes it harder for the guy to get around. So for example, you wouldn't want to do offensive linemen like this, because the defensive lineman is going to get up there and he's just going to slide off. I also wanted to show some of these bases. These are what's called convention bases. They would have conventions around the country, and every year they would make a different color base available. So you could probably look through their website and find which years are from which bases, but they're basically the same. Some people swear by different colors. Some of the, I guess the hot pink ones from like 2013 or 2014, people swear by those. There's one particular set where it was red and blue, so what they call the rookie base was done in red, and then the total team control base was done in blue. So Proline is the Tudor name for the high-end players or high-end bases. So these are what's called first-run bases, which I got from one collector in the hobby. So they made these, and these are very collectible because of not only their rounded, very rounded fronts. You see it's actually much more rounded than the current generation bases. So if you have a wide receiver, this guy is a very, very slippery dude if I put him on this. And again, when you put a player on a base, you put a little bit double stick tape there so he doesn't wobble around. But look at that. This guy'd be a very hard guy to cover off the line. And again, they made that with a single clip. There's also a double clip. So you slide in the same way as on the other double clips. And again, I would also double stick tape them on this and also on the total team control. As far as I know, it was only the first runs of when they first came up with Pro lines that they had these very rounded fronts. And it was not just a rounded front, but you see also how much thicker the sidewalls are. A very different base from the current ones. The other thought is that the plastic that was used on these is very malleable and therefore is very tweakable, and you can really get a lot out of that base. Now, I'm not sure if you want to call these bases or cleats, but it's basically the same idea. These are available in some of the new Tudor sets. These are called Invisibases, and rather than putting a player on a very visible green platform, now he's got this clear, almost invisible kind of a base. These tend to run way better right out of the box. So without tweaking, if you want to just set up guys and you're not comfortable with a set of pliers or something like that, then by all means get these. These are called the strong bases, got the 2 wipers. And we're going to get into tweaking all these bases, including these guys. And then you have what they call the speed cleats, which you have 2 of them for each player. So you mount one on the left and you mount one on the right. And I mean, you could put a little double stick tape, so if you have this player like this, he'll pretty much go straight. If you put it like this, he'll curve a little bit this way. One problem with this is you kind of give it away. If I have him on the play field like this, it's pretty obvious which way he's going to go, versus if I put a player down with a total team control base, I mean, you don't know if he's going to go this way or this way. These are available. Pretty much you have to go look through the boards to see if anybody's got these available. They tend not to be cheap by any stretch, but you can get a lot out of the current generation. These sorts of bases, these kinds of bases, they're very good. I find that the strong ones, for me, since I tend to be a little bit ham-handed when I'm tweaking, I find that the thicker prongs are much easier to work with than the thin prongs. Anyway, this is the Tudor bases. I'm going to have a bunch of other videos for other bases.